Hey, it's Matt Moscona. You found it. It's AFR LSU, your home for daily content on your favorite team, Fighting Tigers of LSU. And we're proud to be presented by BetUS, where this football season, get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use the promo code YouTube150. Now, enjoy the video. We always take time on Tuesday to visit with Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. A little recruit and talk. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing well. Did all the recruits survive the heat on Saturday?
They did. Everybody
glad to hear it.
Remained committed, but also they keep them on the west sideline.
Yes,
and you go hang out, in the locker room if you get too hot.
Yeah,
so
brilliant.
They're taken care of.
They think of everything. Any reports from how it went? Look, let's run through. By the way, for those that might have missed it. The visitor, we talked about DJ Pickett last week, but the visitor list, who was there and how it went with the UCLA game.
Yeah, well, look, we can even start before DJ Pickett with a kind of a surprise visitor of sorts. Jahkeem Stewart, the number one player in the country for next year's class, stopped into campus and hung out with the coaches and took in the sidelines before the game and watched the game. And he was out at the the USC LSU game to start the year, so now he's seen 2 of the 4 games so far, and we've talked about it on this show before. Jahkeem Stewart is the number 1 D lineman, a 5-star, but he withdrew from St. Aug to go to Edna Karr, where right now he's currently ineligible, so he's not playing for Edna Karr as a junior, but the goal was to be on a path to where he could get the coursework done, needed, completed, and ready to reclassify, which would mean coming from the 2026 class into this current 2025 cycle, which LSU has a top 3 ranked class. So this is a player who, for many reasons, has kind of been pushed to the forefront of the conversation because now he could be a guy who ultimately is on a college team by this time next year.
Do we have any sense, Shay, of when we might get some kind of answer there?
It would not surprise me if in the next few weeks, month, if they came out and Stewart's camp said, hey, look, here's the plan. I think that it's probably smart to move forward right now and make sure you have all of your ducks in a row, because leaving St. Aug 2 games before their season started and after school had already started to get to Edna Karr and then not be ruled ineligible was certainly not the route that you hope to see Jahkeem go. He had already set out his freshman year because of transferring to St. Aug and being ruled ineligible. So right now he's only played a sophomore year of football. I think the next move, has to be the best move, and that's, hey, if I've done all this, then I need to reclassify. So my guess is they are making sure that all of the courses he needs to take are lined up for both the fall and most likely the spring, I would guess. And then that way he can, whatever school he chooses, be in line to enroll there and sign at the school this year and enroll there by this time, like I said, be on a team by this time next year. So I'm not shocked, Matt, that nothing has immediately come out of, yep, he's reclassifying 100%, because I think they're still trying to juggle all of that. But I would definitely lean towards him reclassifying, or it wouldn't have made much sense to leave Aug and miss another football season.
We'll get right back to the video, but I want to take a quick second to remind you again about our great partner this football season over at BetUS. By now, you know I love the sports bet. I do it every day. If you want to join me, make sure you use BetUS. Right now, awesome offer. You get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. It's when you use the promo code YouTube150. Let's make a bet together. It's this easy. You pull up BetUS. Let's see your football tab right there. Hit the drop down. There's the college football tab. And I'm going to go look for the LSU South Alabama game. We know that it's all chronological, so we're going to go down to that 6:45 kick for LSU and South Alabama on Saturday night in Tiger Stadium. Tigers, we know, are a 3-touchdown favorite. So what we're going to do when we find that game, here it is right there. It's actually up to 22 right now. LSU this year, 0-4 against the spread. I'm a firm believer that you bet a trend and you keep betting until you lose, because you win a bunch and you only lose once. Well, LSU's 0-4 against the spread. I think they're going to beat the South Alabama Jaguars, but you better believe I'm going to take all 22 of those points. So we come over here, we'll place our wager. It's going to ask me to confirm. It's this easy. You hit the confirm button, and there is my confirmation ticket. South Alabama plus 22, but I do like the Tigers to win. If you want to join me, you can do it at BetUS. Great partners of ours right here. Again, 150% bonus on your first deposit, 125% bonus on your next two deposits, up to $2,000. Use that promo code YouTube150. Enjoy the rest of the video. Stewart, DJ Pickett, I know you told us last week Jacob and Blaine Bradford from Catholic were expected to be on campus. Anybody else make that the trip this past weekend?
Yeah, one of High's players, Lamar Brown, their
Nice.
Two-way standout. I'm sorry, Matt, I'm just doing that to you, but he is a notable prospect.
That's great. No, five-star lineman. Let's get it.
Yeah,
Tell him I'll send him a postcard from the Dome.
That's just going to be the stock answer here, but yes, High got the win this past weekend. Lamar Brown showed up the next day. He's phenomenal, though. He's a top 5 player on 3. Another top 10 player is, you mentioned Blaine Bradford. His brother Jacob is committed to Houston as a senior coming out of Catholic, but LSU's offered him and continue to press to get him on board even before Blaine, who is a top 10 player in the country next year, number 1 safety, makes his decision. But I think you've got to go back to kind of where the current discussion of this team is, right, Matt? And we came into the season saying DB and D-line were going to be weaknesses, at least, presumed, and the new staff had to sort of take it head on and do the best they could with it. And losing Jacoby and Guillory, they've still found production at the D-line position. And obviously you've got to recruit it year over year. They have a handful of guys committed. But DB is one, in corner where we knew no matter what, they just had who they had. And it was bringing along Ashton Stamps and testing out P.J. Woodland as a true freshman and playing some J.K. Johnson and getting now Zaire Alexander back healthy. I know he got banged up again this past weekend, but back from that ACL injury. And it was just going to be what it was. But Corey Raymond being hired in January is paying dividends. Number 1 corner in America was on campus this past weekend in DJ Pickett. He's impossible to miss. If you were looking at kids on the sidelines, he's all of 6'4" and long and looks exactly like a Corey Raymond type corner. And Cade Phillips was right there with him, who I saw had a long chat with Brian Kelly on the field, and he's a kid who committed to Texas in July, I believe it was, and less than a month later flipped to LSU and committed to Texas over LSU. I've caught up with him since then, and he said, look, I wanted to be at LSU. I'm from Texas. I do like Texas, but I want to play there. I want to play for Corey Raymond, and you've got 2 out-of-state guys coming in who are both at that game who I firmly feel will be finished when the rankings are done, both as top 5 corners, and that's the kind of production on the recruiting trail that you bring Corey Raymond back for, right? And obviously development is the other part, but getting talented guys like that into the fold was a must, and really no way around it. So to have those 2 guys committed and Aiden Anding up in Ruston, who could finish as the state's highest-ranked corner, it's a pretty nice haul here early on, but great to have Pickett on campus as well as Phillips.
Shay Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, is with us. We always talk, Shay, and I know you've referenced it about flips and how big that was a season ago. Are there other prospects right now that maybe we're keeping an eye on as we move toward that early signing period that LSU continues to work on at trying to flip them into this class?
There are. I mean, there are a number. And look, they won't get to the spot they were a year ago when nearly 40% of their signees were flips from one school into LSU's class, which is just a massive number. And obviously you don't want to have to bank on that. But Jacob Bradford, I already mentioned, being committed to Houston, that Willie Fritz and that staff that he brought from Tulane have obviously know the lay of the land in Louisiana, and they've scooped up a lot of the best players that now a team like LSU says, hey, we've offered, we're making a move, and I think that's one that they can ultimately pull off if they continue to press. Another, I would say, is Brad Davis. Look, a year ago, he signed 6 linemen. Half of them were flips, 2 from Texas A&M and 1 from Ole Miss. Right now, they do have the highest-ranked offensive lineman in Mississippi committed, Tyler Miller, coming out of Laurel. The number 2 offensive lineman in Mississippi is Mario Nash. He's committed to Mississippi State, but he took an OV to LSU in June. He was back at the game this past weekend, and he said, look, Brad Davis keeps calling me. If he's going to show interest, I will continue to explore my options. And for those who don't pay attention to SEC football right now, we're not in the days of, remember when Ole Miss and State were ranked number 1 and 2? That was a wild time.
That's 2014, yeah.
Ole Miss is good right now. State is not.
Yeah.
So I think State's trying to hold on a bit for dear life with Levy and company to the guy they have, and he's one of their highest-rated commits. So it's tough to pull kids out of Mississippi, but I will circle him as one that I would say, hey, look, Brad Davis does it year over year. If he's getting him back to campus now and he's already gotten an OV with Nash and his family, then keep an eye on it. And there's many others, but those are two who were on campus this past weekend, which tells me, hey, look, they're still looking around.
Shay, what about this coming weekend with another home game, this time a night game? I know you always explain the significance of a night game for recruiting, just for players to be able to physically be able to get here. What can we anticipate with South Alabama coming in?
Yeah, I mean, they've done a really good job of getting the current commits in, and that's, look, when you have 26 commits and you want to sign between 25 and 30, getting those guys onto campus is paramount. So a lot of those guys will be back. In terms of out-of-state guys, I think you start to look at the younger crop. And look, there's just not a lot of guys left in this class that you're going after, but a name that just popped out, Booby Feaster out of Texas, who's been kind of a frequent visitor around LSU. He's in the 2027 class, but he's already ranked as maybe the best receiver, if not one of the top 2 or 3. I haven't glanced at that class here recently, but early on he's got an offer from everybody and will be that big name coming out of Texas, one of a handful, like always, at receiver that they'll continue to recruit. I'll also say that the more you get these younger guys like Elijah Haven out of Dunham and others who are from Baton Rouge and even in New Orleans, Jabari Mack at Destrehan, there's a long list of them who just keep popping up at games. And the more you have them around, I think the kind of quietly, the bigger and bigger LSU's grip gets on what you would call a lead at this stage, as kind of they explore all their options. So just because of that, yes, it is South Alabama. It's not a huge game, but being at night, they'll get guys in. But I do know this. When they ask guys to come in and they're saying, cool, which weekend would you have me? I think I can make it either this weekend for South Alabama or in a couple weekends for Ole Miss. The answer is come in for Ole Miss. So that is going to be, I mean, they have Bama at home, but that should be probably the biggest visitor weekend of the year, I would think.
Hey, let me ask one follow-up on Elijah Haven. And for those that don't know, he's the quarterback from Dunham who On3 recently rated as the number 1 prospect for the number 1 quarterback for the class of 2027, right? I think I've got that right. What any idea just of his recruitment? Like, is he a guy that looks like, it's early, Shay, but I mean, is he going to make a lot of visits? Is it going to be something that lasts a long time? Do we know how he feels about LSU and anything like that early in this process?
I think he's going to be a national recruit. He's going to start grabbing offers from the who's who from coast to coast. So when the time comes, I mean, remember, he's just now a few games into his sophomore year. As over the next year, I'd say, is when quarterbacks really start to take visits and meet with different coaches and get a feel in person for how these quarterback coaches and OCs and head coaches are. Then you get a better feel for, okay, where might he land? Because right now, the main exposure is to LSU. And not just because, in large part because he's a Baton Rouge kid, but Joe Sloan and them were at football games. They were at his basketball game back in January. So they have treated him like a very high priority. They're not going out and watching a lot of freshmen and, guys who at that point, he was a freshman, now he's a sophomore. But back in January, they aren't going to watch a bunch of freshmen play basketball when they're recruiting them for football. It's just to show, hey, we're here. The interest is there. And when the time comes, look, they haven't offered anybody in 2027 yet at quarterback. And Benton's got a good quarterback in Malachi Ziegler. Nussmeier's little brother is the top 10 quarterback in the country. So there are a number of guys I think that they would look at, but you're obviously going to start with a guy like Haven, given he's right here in Baton Rouge.
Shay Dixon, On3, the Bengal Tiger. Make sure you get him on Twitter at Shay Dixon. Always appreciate it, man. Thanks for the visit.
2 times in one day, Matt. Good to see you again.
Thanks so much for watching the video. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the bell so you're notified when we post a new video, and remember to support BetUS, where right now you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use that promo code YouTube150.